Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Austin, for being with us this afternoon. And I want to say a special appreciation for your participation in the tree planting of the sapling from the Oklahoma City Memorial tree that we were able to plant a few weeks ago. It was I think, a wonderful remembrance of the 30th anniversary and a huge blessing to those who have been impacted by the Oklahoma City bombing 30 years ago. So thank you for participating in that. Excuse me, I was trucking it over here to make sure I didn't miss my opportunity.
I tried to filibuster for you.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that. Let me start by asking you, I know that there's been some, I think, challenges with collaboration across agencies, but you have really made, I think, a focused effort to try to collaborate better with House entities. Can you talk a little bit about collaboration, strengthening collaboration between the CAO, AOC, and other House agencies?
Sure. It has been a focus of my time here is to be more collaborative in general, but certainly be more collaborative with our fellow agencies. We work very closely with House CAO, with House Sergeant at Arms, with the Clerk's Office. We do small get-togethers where we talk to each other, but also have regular meetings with them. There is certainly a lot of efficiencies that we can have in those agencies, and I look forward to discussing with this committee and others ways that we can clear some of the lines of effort between, for instance, the Architect Capitol and the House CAO. But we have done a lot of collaboration with them. I believe we have a very good relationship. I actually was just down touring the House CAO shops less than 2 weeks ago, and I was very happy that the CAO allowed me to do so.
I would just echo that I've heard, I think, really positive things coming out of other House entities in their ability to collaborate and work with your organization. So thank you for being that conduit. For more than a decade, the Architect of the Capitol has carried out the Cannon Renewal Project. And I would like to know your thoughts on the operational model. And would you say that you would replicate this model for future massive infrastructure projects of House office building renovations?
Sure. So with the Cannon, we learned a lot of lessons on the best way to go about a project at that time. I understand why they did the Cannon in the way they did because of the restrictions when it came to swing space, and that's something I don't think they were ready to face at the time, and I think we need to face it with future large programs, because by doing Cannon in multiple small phases that were tied to congressional move cycle, that created a lot of inefficiencies as the contractors had to mobilize and demobilize, and we had to move the members of Congress around, and we had to break it up in all these small chunks. It was not very efficient. So from a large wave top level perspective, we'd like to do these kind of projects in fewer but larger phases and not tie them to congressional move cycle. Downside of that is I have to enable the mission of Congress to do their constitutional duties, which means I have to find you swing space that meets the unique needs of members of Congress. And that is a challenge. We talked a little bit earlier about the swing space study that we'll be presenting next month to this committee and our other stakeholders. But that is certainly a challenge that we're going to have with the new larger projects. We have some other things I'd like to speak about very quickly if I could, which is just when it came to Cannon, I think that we didn't have a good handle on what we call the program of requirements, everything we wanted to do. And so once we started construction, I think we got some people's attention, and then we had scope creep and changes. And being able to get these designed more fully and then put very strong structure around change management is a lesson that I would like to apply to future projects like this, because once you open that aperture, especially once construction has started, costs can escalate out of control.
And did you see that with the Cannon renewal?
Those, well, I only have a fairly short legs with the Cannon renewal.
Right.
In fact, I just, as of yesterday, came out of my cooling off period for Cannon because I actually had worked as a contractor. But now that I can speak more fully about it, I did see that we had some issues where sort of the good ideas came way late in the project. And I understand why they wanted them, but some of these things needed to be fleshed out during the design process, not while it was under construction. It's so much cheaper to do this while you're in design than trying to shoehorn it in during construction. So I saw some of this, but anecdotally and from the lessons learned I've seen from previous phases, because we're now in phase 4 of 4, which is actually the 5th because we had this phase 0. I saw that certainly with the ARs from phases 1 and 2. So that was an issue for those 2 phases.
And certainly we are, at least, doing studies on what the campus may need in the future from a space requirement. And so having that insight, I think, would be incredibly helpful as we move forward. Quick last question, if I may. When do you expect the scaffolding to come down the crane and to open up the parking garage in Cannon?
So the scaffolding, the crane is less than 60 days from being removed right now, and the scaffolding, by the end of this summer, will all be down. In fact, we've retrograded most of the scaffolding already, so but there is additional scaffolding which will come down this summer.
Thank you so much for everything that you've done for the institution. We appreciate your time, and with that, Mr. Chair, I yield.